Well, you're right. It was a global panel of like-minded experts, but the evidence now supporting a lab leak are so overwhelming that even they are saying not only is that the obvious conclusion, but American experts were downplaying it unfairly at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, there's huge consequences to finding out, well, we know that it was a lab leak, but having accountability for China, what does that look like? I mean, that's really interesting because they like to be treated as a normal nation, as a leader in the world, and yet they did so much to cover it up and not just, you know, using bureaucrats, but they disappeared doctors. I mean, people possibly died from trying to tell the truth about this.
Look, we know, Rachel, there was a secret meeting that Dr. Fauci himself convened as soon as he learned of the grant from the NIH to fund the Wuhan lab. And in that secret meeting, many scientists who had publicly said they thought it was likely a lab leak suddenly changed their position. And look, were many mistakes of the COVID pandemic. People say, why are folks focused on the lab leak? This is the biggest liability case in the history of the world, and people need closure.
Thank you.
Dr. Makary, you know, speaking of people dying from the lack of information or the misinformation when it came to COVID, and then also speaking of liability, what about all this information that wasn't allowed to be disseminated? And we now know the government colluded with social media companies like Facebook to say you can't question the efficacy of the vaccine or masks, therefore sending people out there into the world thinking they were protected, therefore sending people out there into the world without a full basket of available knowledge.
Well, even Dr. Redfield, the former head of the CDC, came out this week and told The Spectator that it was told very clear in no uncertain terms that Dr. Fauci and Dr. Collins wanted one narrative, and he was shut out of many of the meetings. And so, look, they've made many mistakes, closing schools, ignoring natural immunity, firing workers for having antibodies, but just not the type they liked.